Okay, a little bit more information. Hold on, which way around does this go? I think it goes that way. The aim with this thing, this field, this year, is to do the whole thing on zero money, not using anything. Now, in actual fact, the project's kind of already started because last year, for example, planted tobacco, let it go to seed, so I've got the seeds for that. Don't need to buy any seeds. Pretty much all the other seeds are seeds that I already have that I've been stockpiling for a few years from the greenhouse and things. The farmer who owns this field, again, we're not paying him anything. He gets his potatoes, carrots and onions from us. So zero money. There's also, I'm going to be using some canvas, putting canvas down on at that end of the field. Potatoes will be over here. That end of the field where I'm going to be planting rows of tobacco and things. Canvas down so there's as close to zero weeding needed as possible. That canvas I basically kind of getting for free. It's a trade thing. I did a little bit of work for someone who had a big roll sitting around, so I get that for nothing. We actually were given last year 2 old potato machines, one for planting potatoes, one for harvesting potatoes. They go behind a tractor, really old things that actually 2 people sit on top and work it as it goes along. So those were free. They were in someone's barn and they wanted to get some space, so we got them for nothing. So everything here is based on free stuff or barter and trade. Been doing a greenhouse for the last 5 years and always been frustrated because even though it's been fairly successful at times, you're putting a lot of hours into it and you end up with a bucket full of tomatoes and 1.5 cucumbers, and decided that no, I want to do this properly, actually make a meaningful amount of food just based on hard work. So one other thing I forgot, as I said, this project's kind of already started. The farmer, who's a very good friend of ours, last year, although he doesn't use this field, he planted it anyway. He can't get the combine harvester in here at all. So basically he planted it just to keep the weeds, have a year where the weeds don't take over completely. He let it all die and then he ploughed it into the field for us. So the field is now ready. This field hasn't been farmed for over 10 years. And 10 years ago it was a potato field, and apparently it was a very good potato field. But then with the introduction of the big machinery, it just became impractical for them to bother coming to this little corner. So that's where we got it. Okay, I'll update when I think of something else. Okay, first update. We're getting close to the day when we can actually get something planted in here. I've got a whole load of seedlings sprouting in the house. I'll show you those in a minute. But time is growing close. We've got tobacco that's going out onto the field. Here, need to do another load. Chamomile that's going out onto the bee field. Cucumber up there. And then this one, and these are all parsley root. So, this is the root parsley, which I've grown in toilet roll tubes. The reason being that last year I planted them in these. They're very shallow, and what happened was the roots went down and hit the bottom. When I transplanted them and the root parsley grew, they all had an angle on them and it was strangely shaped. So this year, trying them in toilet rolls, and I'm leaving one per roll, so I'm just going to try and pull that out. Okay, usually they break, but every now and again they don't. Okay, there we go. There you see how long that root is. Up. So they're 3/4 of the way down these tubes. If they were in the small plastic pots, they would already hit the bottom. Okay, update. It's April the 21st. The field is now open, all the snow's gone, it's drying out nicely. It's about 17 degrees Celsius today. And our tractor man has come and dumped 2 loads of horse manure for us in the middle of the field. And he's going to come tomorrow and spread it out for us. Another update. The field, the horse manure has been spread, and the guy whose field this is, he had a whole load of old peas, like pea seeds, so which are peas of course, and so he offered to just run them down here with his planter, because this used to actually be a road just here, so it's this strip here is full of stones, so easy solution, plant it with peas. Like I said, the old seed peas, so I don't know if they're going to grow, but if they do, it's just a bonus. We've still got plenty of room out here in less stony soil. Okay.
Siinä on semmoinen 750 wattia vähän lämpöä mukana. Niin se on ihan hyvä. Tuotit pitää olla kylmässä hyvässä tausta.
Se on todella vaikea sanoa, kuinka paljon siellä on. Jop. So, that was 2019 on the field. It's December, about the midway, about 15th of December. It's 2 or 3 degrees above zero. The field's been ploughed back in. So, conclusions. Okay, the peas didn't work, that didn't matter. Potatoes worked. We maybe put way too much potatoes in there, but it worked. We've got loads and loads of potatoes. That was a success, definitely. Around about here were onions. They worked, but the weeds were a real problem. Well, the weeds and the fact that we didn't come down and remove the weeds. Further down there were actually carrots that we put in, but again, the weeds completely took them over. We got maybe a bucket full of tiny little carrots which we fed to the rabbits. We also planted some turnips down there, but again, if you're not going to weed them, it's not worth putting them in. We got maybe a bucket full of turnips. Over this side, the material that we put down, it stopped the weeds. Okay, so it was a bad harvest in terms of the things we planted in them. Just to be clear, we laid down 2 strips. In the gap in between the 2 strips, we planted oil hemp, which worked up to a point. And then on the strips we made little holes where we planted the root parsley and the tobacco. The tobacco grew quite well, but like I said, there was an early frost. The root parsley failed. But it did stop the weeds. And we had a problem with the weeds down here with the onions, so I think the conclusion is next year we plant the onions on the canvas in the little holes. And that way we'll get bigger onions. Doesn't work with the carrots because you plant them in a row, but that would work in between the 2 sheets. So maybe carrots in between those sheets. Root parsley, I think I'm going to try again, but I'm going to plant them directly in the field, not germinate them in the greenhouse. But what really did work this year was cooperation of all the neighbours. There's 5 or 6 households around here now eating the potatoes and onions that came from this field. Really good surprise there. So, we learnt some lessons. Let's see how the field 2020 does.